Most keyboard reviews start with switches, sound tests, and specs. But as an architect, I tend to see keyboards a little differently. I notice the shape first, the material, the way it sits on the desk, and how it changes the space around it. Because a keyboard isn't just something you type on, it's also one of the objects that shapes the way your workspace feels. This is the Lofree Hyzen, the world's first hybrid mechanical and magnetic keyboard. Lofree is a channel partner and asked me to talk about their new release, but as always, all thoughts and opinions are my own. So on paper, the Hyzen is trying to solve a very specific keyboard problem. What if you didn't have to choose between the feel of a mechanical keyboard and the responsiveness of a magnetic one? The moment I unboxed it, I immediately understood what Lofree was trying to do. This doesn't feel like a keyboard you casually throw into a setup. It feels like something you place there deliberately. Since this is still a newer product and part of a Kickstarter launch, I can only speak for the unit that I have here. So far, my focus is on how it feels in my workflow, but it's worth treating any first generation product with the usual amount of caution. The Hyzen comes in this massive egg-like carrying case with a soft felt-like fabric finish. Unzipping it reveals everything inside. You get the manual and some literature, a USB-C cable, the 8K dongle, a keycap and switch puller, a few replacement keycaps, and of course, the keyboard itself. I also have the wrist rest that was designed specifically for the Hyzen. It's transparent, snaps on magnetically, and gives you a bit more comfort when typing. But what I like the most is how it naturally fits the design language of the keyboard. The Hyzen already has this strong architectural look, and the transparent wrist rest feels like an extension of it rather than a separate accessory. Design-wise, the Hyzen is easily one of the most striking keyboards I've had on my desk. The first thing you notice is the form. It has this sculptural aluminum body that feels dense, angular, and almost monolithic. And as an architect, I immediately appreciate that. Some objects are designed to blend in, others are designed to hold visual weight. The Hyzen definitely belongs to the second category. The body is made from CNC-machined aluminum, so there's a solid structure to it that you feel right away. It feels less like a plastic peripheral and more like a designed object. But what keeps it from looking too heavy are the transparent keycaps. They soften the form, add depth, and catch light in a really interesting way. It reminds me of translucent architectural materials like polycarbonate panels or glass blocks. You still get the structure, but light passes through just enough to make the object feel layered. In terms of switches, the Hyzen features a one-of-a-kind switch called Nexus. It's a hybrid mechanical and magnetic switch co-developed with renowned switch makers Kailh. We'll be discussing more about how the Nexus works in the next section, but it's worth mentioning that they are also hot swappable. I also appreciate how the back of the keyboard wasn't treated like an afterthought. You have two knobs at the back. One is a tactile volume knob that makes a subtle clicky sound when adjusting volume, and beside it is another knob that lets you turn the keyboard on and off, as well as switch between inputs. You'll also find a recessed USB-C port at the back for charging and wired connection. It keeps the cable routing clean, which is a small detail, but on a desk setup, cable direction and visual color can quickly change the whole composition. And the bottom side of the keyboard also lights up with a clean horizontal profile, giving off a futuristic vibe to it. On the left side of the keyboard, there's another knob that toggles the function layer. You'll immediately see this black glass indicator bar light up to show the functions. It also shows you the kind of connection you're currently in, as well as the charging status. Since the Hyzen is a 65% layout keyboard, it doesn't have a dedicated function row, but having the option to turn that layer on and off with a flick is a nice touch. Now, I do want to quickly comment on a few things I'm not the biggest fan of. The first is the amount of branding. You can see a large Lofree logo on the right side of the keyboard, a big Hyzen logo with a subtitle at the back, and a copyright mark on the lower left. I've heard talks about Lofree reducing these branding elements on the final units, and I hope they do. For a keyboard that's sculptural and visually strong, I think it would benefit from a cleaner exterior. The second is more functional. There are times when I accidentally leave the function knob on and suddenly my number and character keys don't behave as expected. It's easy to solve by toggling the knob back down again, but it can be a little annoying when you're in the middle of typing. But overall, the material contrast and design choices are what make the Hyzen work for me. Solid aluminum, transparent keycaps, functional hardware, hard edges, soft glow, and a compact footprint that still leaves room on the desk. But of course, a keyboard can look as beautiful as it wants, but at the end of the day, it still has to feel good when you actually type on it. And my first impression with the Hyzen was that it feels very deliberate. Each press has a nice firmness to it, but it doesn't feel stiff or tiring. It has this crisp, controlled feel that gives you enough feedback without feeling too sharp. The key stability is also something I noticed earlier on. There's not a lot of wobble when pressing down, so each keystroke feels planted. And because of that, the whole typing experience feels more precise. It doesn't feel soft in a mushy way, and it doesn't feel overly clacky either. To me, it sits somewhere between crisp and firm, with a sound and feel that matches the visual design of the keyboard. For my everyday work, I enjoyed using this for script writing, emails, captions, and planning content. Those are the kinds of tasks where a keyboard really matters to me because I'm not just pressing keys quickly, I'm trying to stay in a rhythm. And that's where the Hyzen makes sense. It gives typing a bit more weight, every press feels considered, and that makes it enjoyable when you're sitting down to write. Sound-wise, it has a clean and fairly controlled profile. It's not overly loud or obnoxious, but it still gives you enough feedback to make typing feel satisfying. Now, the main thing that makes the Hyzen special is that it's both mechanical and magnetic. The mechanical side is what gives you that familiar typing feel, the key travel, the feedback, and the tactility you'd expect from a proper mechanical keyboard. The magnetic side is more about precision and control. Instead of each key having just one fixed actuation point, the keyboard can detect movement through magnetic sensing, which lets you fine-tune how sensitive or responsive each key feels. And to toggle between mechanical and magnetic mode, you simply press Function plus Enter. That's it. What makes the Hyzen's Nexus switches interesting is that they're designed to be this one-and-done switch for a hybrid experience. They're tactile enough for traditional typing and productivity, but they also give you more tuning flexibility for faster-paced gaming. The switches also feature TMR, which is designed to offer a higher level of sensitivity compared to more traditional magnetic switch systems. In simple terms, it allows the keyboard to detect very small movements with a high level of accuracy. And because the Hyzen uses a Nordic 54 chipset, it also supports an 8K polling rate, which is basically what allows the keyboard to communicate with your computer more frequently. So in actual use, it's designed to feel extremely responsive, whether you're typing, gaming, or switching between different tasks. So for writing scripts, emails, and captions, I can keep it in that familiar mechanical feel, but when I want faster response and more control, especially for gaming or more performance-based use, the magnetic mode is there. For my workflow, I'm mostly using the Hyzen for productivity and controlling my desk setup. So I'm not really reviewing this from the perspective of a competitive gamer. I'm reviewing it as someone who spends a lot of time typing, creating, and designing at a desk. And in that context, the Hyzen makes a lot of sense. It feels precise enough for fast inputs, but still tactile enough for long writing sessions. That said, I do game casually from time to time, and when I use the Hyzen for faster-paced FPS titles, that's when I start to appreciate the precision of the magnetic switches a bit more. You can feel how responsive it is, especially when movement, timing, and quick key presses matter. I'm not saying this suddenly makes me better at the game, but it does make the keyboard feel more capable than a standard productivity keyboard. So for me, the Hyzen sits in this interesting middle ground. It's a design-forward keyboard for everyday work, but with enough performance headroom for gaming when you want it. The Hyzen makes the most sense for someone who wants a one-and-done keyboard that can sit between productivity, design, and performance. If you're a writer, creator, designer, or someone who spends a lot of time at a desk, I think you'll appreciate the typing feel, the material choices, and the way it visually anchors a workspace. I imagine that a lot of people will buy this keyboard purely because of the design, just because it's so unique. It's also for people who want something more experimental than a standard mechanical keyboard. Because of its hybrid mechanical and magnetic design, I imagine many enthusiasts to tinker with it and also see how far it will perform. And if you care about how your tools feel, how they look, and how they fit into your desk setup, the Hyzen makes a lot of sense. But I don't think this is for everyone. If you just need a simple, low-profile keyboard for basic office work, this might be more than you actually need. And if you prefer something completely understated, the Hyzen's sculptural form and strong visual identity might feel a bit too loud. But if you want a keyboard that feels like both a tool and a design object, this is where the Hyzen stands out. So, final thoughts. The Lofree Hyzen is definitely one of the more interesting keyboards I've had on my desk in a while. At the time of filming, the Hyzen is launching through Kickstarter, with pricing starting at $169 for the wired mode version and $189 for the tri-mode version for VIP reservation backers. The listed MSRP is $279 and $299. So if you're interested, the Kickstarter window is where the value makes the most sense. That said, it's still a Kickstarter product, so I'd approach it with the usual amount of patience and realistic expectations. For me, the Hyzen makes the most sense if you care about three things: typing feel, desk presence, and having one keyboard that can move between focused work and casual gaming. It's not the most subtle keyboard, it's also not the most minimal keyboard, and personally, I do hope the final version reduces some of the branding elements. But from a design-led standpoint, I think the Hyzen is genuinely compelling. It has weight, tactility, a strong visual identity, and a hybrid mechanical magnetic system that makes it feel technically ambitious. So if you're looking for a keyboard that feels both architectural and performance driven, the Lofree Hyzen is definitely worth looking into. I'll leave the Kickstarter link in the description if you want to check it out, and as always, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, ask and I'll do my best to answer them. For behind the scenes and updates, follow me on Instagram and Threads. With that said, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!